Mike, isn't it amazing, brother? If you read the Bible in one hand and the newspaper in the other, you can surely find some events that just look like they run hand in hand, isn't it, brother?
Yes, I've been following it. You and I have been talking. People can see episodes of the Prophecy Report, which you and I do. We try and get one in once a week. Sometimes it doesn't always happen because we have busy lives. But
if we weren't busy working, if we just sat at home and collected welfare, Mike, we could probably do that twice a week.
Right, or once an hour, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's give that a look.
But if people have been paying attention to the Prophecy Report that you and I have been doing, we've been talking a lot about this coming one world government, this lion, bear, leopard trio, which gets its power from the dragon. And I started paying really close attention to China in 2009 when I heard an interview with someone very close to Barack Obama. I can't remember the woman's name. I wish I would have written it down at the time, but NPR was interviewing people about Obama and his coming cabinet. Who is he going to pick? What voices are going to be heard from the Obama administration, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Big interviews happening. Who is this Barack Obama? Who is he close to, et cetera, et cetera. And NPR was interviewing a board of people with this regard. And they interviewed this one woman. She was very close to the Obama camp. And the question came up: how will Obama deal with the debt that is owed to China?
Right.
And how will he deal with all of that? And this was the answer. And I will never forget it, Brandon. I wish I would have written the woman's name down, but I'll never forget her answer. She said, look, if you owe the bank $100,000, the bank owns you.
Yeah, I remember.
If you owe the bank $1 trillion, you own the bank.
You own the bank, right.
And the bank,
I remember
in
that.
this regard, in the context of that conversation, was China.
Right.
So this was a person on the inside, an Obama insider, giving us the clue as to what the Obama people believe about China. That is to say, China is a slave nation to the United States. They are there to build our DVD players and microwave ovens. And yes, we owe them trillions of dollars, but we own them. We own the Chinese, right? Ever since then, Brandon, I've been paying a close attention to this whole issue of China and the money that's owed, et cetera, because, I mean, it's NPR. People in China are paying attention to these conversations.
Right.
And ever since then, Bloomberg has been reporting this. Breitbart, I was reading some articles from them. Since then, China has been dumping debt, U.S. debt, and they have been making moves to form their own global banking system.
Absolutely.
And the latest on that is that, there have been many widespread reports that China is partnering up with Russia.
Well, they've certainly partnered up with them to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars in the last 12 months.
Right. And it's very interesting to see what the Bible says about this. Like you said, holding the Bible in one hand and your laptop in the other. Right. And going, wait a minute, this is all coming together just as the Bible said it would. Yeah. Because the picture painted there is the feet of the bear, the mouth of the lion, and looks like a leopard. And so all of this one world beast, the beast is made up of these three nations. The lion is clearly England, the bear is Russia, and we're looking more toward the leopard being Germany. At least I am, and I have good reasons to believe that. We're looking at these connections that are being made. It says that it is this beast, this trio, will be empowered by the dragon.
That's right.
The animal symbol for China is the dragon.
And the exact question that I posed to you on the last prophecy report was, what in this world brings power, Mike Shoesmith?
Right, and it is money, and China has lots of it.
Yes, they do. Let me stop you just a second, Mike, because you said something a couple minutes back, very interesting. When you were comparing that statement about if you owe the bank $100,000, they own you. If you owe them $1 trillion, you own them, and you kept emphasizing the word own. Right. But let's take a look at that, because the Chinese do own. Numbers vary, but let's just say about 1.5 trillion of the U.S. debt that we know of. But isn't it interesting that we also know for a fact that the Chinese government owns land all over the United States that they have bought in the last several years, that they own corporations all over the United States, and that we are constantly being bombarded with these reports of insider deals between Congress people and senators, and even all the way to the White House, making backdoor deals with the Chinese to own more of the United States. So who really owns who? Where do you think this could be going?
Okay, so we talked about how it was that the tremendously offensive language coming from Obama insiders in 2009, early on when they were forming their cabinet, that essentially, well, not essentially, literally they said, America owns China. So how offensive is that? So then, in 2011, the EU Times published an article with the headline, China joins Russia, orders military to prepare for World War III. This is back in 2011. A Beijing Ministry of Defense bulletin said then President Hu agreed in principle that deterring U.S.-led Western aggression is only possible by direct and immediate military action or threat thereof. That is in 2011. Now we fast forward to 2015. The Russians and the Chinese have agreed to open joint e-commerce platform this summer. Russian online payment system Yandex.Money is to start processing payments for Chinese online platform, which is called Trades. So they're forming not only military, but financial alignments there,
wow.
Just as the Bible prophesied.
Yeah.
But the big news today, Brandon, the big news today is that Britain has announced plans to become the first major Western country to join a Chinese-led development bank, drawing a concerned response from the U.S. The $50 billion Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, the AIIB, has been vetted by Beijing as a way of financing regional development and is seen as a potential rival to U.S.-based institutions such as the World Bank. Chinese Dragon, folks, is setting itself up as the empowerment structure that will empower this coming one world government as the U.S. fades into mediocrity here. It really is shocking. And it doesn't end with the lion, Great Britain, because other European giants are now siding with the UK.
Right.
It's Chinese World Bank row with U.S. Think about that. Russians are now partnering up with the dragon. So the bear is now clearly partnered up with the dragon. The lion. Now we've been looking for the lion to make these partnership agreements. Now we have it. Great Britain has now partnered up with the Chinese with their new World Bank system, but it doesn't end with Great Britain. European giants now are siding with the Chinese World Bank, Brandon. France, Germany, and Italy have now signed up to China's Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. So we now have the dragon, which has been prophesied in the Bible to finance this coming one world government.
Right.
And the U.S. just seems to be getting muscled out. And how do we know this? Well, we see Europe siding with it. You know, Germany is the de facto leader of Europe,
right.
The European Union.
No, that's right. Yeah.
That's right. And Germany, it appears to me, and I do have a lot of evidence to support the fact that Germany is the leopard. And now we have another scary move by Saudi Arabia, which is quietly reaching out to their arch foe, Russia, in an attempt to temper Iran's regional influence and reach a compromise on Tehran's nuclear program, Middle Eastern defense officials told WorldNet Daily today. So the Saudis are reaching out to Russia, China's reaching out to Russia, Russia is partnering with China, and we see this all of the chess pieces coming together exactly as they appear to be aligned in the Bible, Brandon. It really is amazing to watch all this come together.
No, it is, Mike. And as you said earlier, you and I have been documenting this for, I don't know, several months now, at PNN and our prophecy report segments. And it's just, it's unbelievable to watch this happen because, listen, and we're always very clear about this. We're not just standing here saying this is it, this is that, the sky is falling, but we have to, if we're going to call ourselves Christians and represent the full meaning of that, we have to look for these things. I mean, we have to understand that there is an end that will come. And so why would we not be taking these scriptures and comparing them and saying, oh my goodness, this certainly looks like this is exactly what's happening. And then, like I say, when you see the stunning detail with which it appears these things are being fulfilled, it's mind-boggling. And then, I opened the show today just by kind of running through a couple of headlines. And this week we see the re-election of Netanyahu in Israel. and we see an immediate negative response from the White House. We continue to shun Israel, and we wonder why the United States appears to be crumbling and falling from within, and we see the rise of these other nations that certainly could be, that were prophesied thousands of years ago. And I'm just telling you, Mike, I'm convinced, and we've covered this, you cannot spit in the face of Israel and God's people in God's land, in Jerusalem, the city where God lives, and expect to thrive as a country and as a people. It does not work that way.
Well, exactly, and we're seeing report after report of liberal outrage against the re-election of Benjamin Netanyahu.
Oh, I know. It's everywhere.
Imagine, Brandon, with the rapture of the church, right? You take the rapture of the church, all of the people who are pushing for all of the Americans, it's just Christians around the world outside of Israel are saying, look, we have got to hang on to our support of Israel. We've got to hang on to it. And imagine the rapture happens. All of these people disappear. They get raptured up, and all that's left is the liberals.
Yeah.
These people, these Israel haters.
What a world.
And right, and all that Israel is left with is themselves. And the Bible says that in the last days, Israel will be alone in the world. And they will have to fight off the enemies that are currently surrounding them.
Yeah.
And one of those enemies will be America.
Yeah.
Because with the liberals in charge, the liberals, they hate Benjamin Netanyahu. They want Palestine to have open borders with Israel, and they very much align themselves with the Iranian point of view that Israel needs to disappear so that there can be peace in the land. And this is all very much falling in line with end-time Bible prophecy, where it says that Israel in the last days will be forced to turn to God.
Absolutely.
Right now, Israel, for the most part, does not serve the Lord.
No, they do not. But there will come a time that says that God will intervene. It's going to look like Israel is going to be destroyed, and God himself will intervene. Mike, this is unbelievable. I found this earlier today, and I'm going to mess this guy's name up, but he's an American Jew, John Podhoretz. And he wrote a column, and here's what he says. He says, it may well be that the president is going to present American Jews with a choice over the coming months no American president should ask us to make, to become parties and participants in his effort to create what in 2009 he called daylight between U.S. and Israel. Pretty astounding. This is an American Jew who realizes the president is forcing American Jews to make this decision. Will I stand with my heritage, with my native country, or will I stand with this administration in this country that is spitting in the face of Israel?
Wow. And yet, we see Obama now. There is a lot of chatter that Obama will bypass Congress on any deal with Iran and go straight to the UN.
It certainly looks that. And why would we not believe that? He bypassed Congress on everything else. I mean, why would he take any different route on this?
Well, that's exactly right. And there's a lot of chatter about, the U.S. has been a bulwark against UN resolutions which would force Israel, back them into the corner. Now, there's a lot of chatter about Barack Obama siding against Israel in the Security Council. We all know where Russia will stand on it.
Yeah. No, this article I just quoted out of, he goes on to say that there is some speculation that Obama would actually present to the UN Security Council the formation of a Palestinian state.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
and that was one of Benjamin Netanyahu's campaign points, that as long as he's prime minister, there will not be a Palestinian state as long as Israel's security is at stake.